Hello, beautiful souls. I am Christy Godwin, certified psychic medium. I'm here with Kayla Miller. She runs a beautiful business and it's called Living from the Heart Center. Welcome, welcome, Kayla.
Thank you for having me, Christy. I'm happy to be back.
This is episode 2 of Spiritual Talk with Christy Godwin and friends. Today, Kayla and I are going to be discussing these stages of spiritual develop or a spiritual awakening. Which whenever you hear spiritual awakening, people think, oh yeah, so fun, which it can be. It's a beautiful, beautiful transition in life. It's a beautiful stages to walk through, but sometimes they're not what you expect. Would you agree, Kayla?
Yeah, definitely. There's some highs and lows that are a part of it.
So let's talk about stage 1, which is basically the wake up call, the on switch. So, and this happens differently for everyone. I do want everyone, as we're going through these stages, please remember that for as many people as there are in this planet, that's how many different ways there are to walk through this spiritual awakening. So though Kayla and I are going to talk about some 6 basic stages, if yours are looking a little bit different, or if you're going from stage 1 to stage 2, back to stage 1, you jump around a little bit, please know that's okay. Give yourself some grace. You're doing it just fine. Okay, so let's talk about this on switch. The on switch can happen in a couple of different ways. It can happen spontaneously. It can happen, there are a whole new generation of people being born on this earth, and I see it a lot with some of the kids in my psychic medium work. I see people asking me questions about their kids because they're parenting these kids who are coming on this earth completely open and awake, and so they're wanting to know how to help them with their skills. Are you seeing some of these things, Kayla?
Absolutely, yes. A lot of the children that are coming in are completely wide open, and the thing is that I've also noticed about the fact that they're also, completely tapped into source already, but I've noticed that they develop much quicker too, just intellectually, independently. They're just more advanced than what I would say the past generations of children were.
Absolutely. And there's actually a whole sector of my business I'm about to open up, helping parents with their kids. My undergrad is in child development, and so I have a lot of that child development background. I've taught preschool teachers how to be teachers, so I'm really passionate about kids and helping them. So Kayla, do you mind telling us a little bit about how your wake-up call happened or your on switch happened?
Absolutely, yes. Okay, so I know that some people, when they experience their awakening and they go through the wake-up call or the on switch stage, it can be in regards to a loved one being passed and they've lost somebody very important in their life. They lost a job, a relationship has come to an end, or something that would be a traumatic event for your health can trigger this, whether it's a near-death experience. There's many different options that could trigger an awakening for somebody. Now, for me, I was actually in the middle of going through my degree for exercise science. Health has always been very important for me. I was in the middle of taking a test for the actual physical portion of the exercise science. So I was demonstrating how to do specific exercise moves, and I completely dislocated my right arm out of the socket. I actually fractured the head of my humerus, and I tore all kinds of ligaments and tendons. I tore the ligament that goes on the front of your shoulder and actually holds it in the socket. So I was without an arm for about almost 2 years. I had to have quite a few surgeries for it, and I'm right-handed, so it really taught me how to live life in a different way. I had to learn to love myself on a very deep level because I could no longer do my hair, my makeup. I had to rely on people and be vulnerable in so many ways that I wouldn't prior to that experience. And that is what triggered my awakening, was an accident, essentially. Yeah, what was yours?
Mine was, and this is sometimes people go into these spiritual awakenings slowly, and just a gradual process. And like Kayla said, sometimes it is boom, a huge event, a death in the family, a near death experience, a traumatic a health episode. Mine was a little of both. I had just, I had come checked society's boxes is what I called it. Was married, children in college, had finished my own degrees, doing other things, church, really checking society's boxes. And I kept thinking, there's got to be more. There's more. I feel like I'm disconnected. So I started reading Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now and those type of things. So that part was gradual. And then something happened in my personal life where I just completely lost trust in some people around me. Like their behavior completely pulled the rug out from under me. And I knew I needed to forgive. Trying to walk through this forgiveness process. I was leaving my house one day and I was at the top of the hill. I still remember I was sitting in my car and I'm just looking both ways. And I don't know what happened, but it dropped into my head. That's it. I'm done. I can't forgive. I'm not Jesus. I can't forgive. And so clear as day, my guides came in. They said, "Oh, you think this was about you? Oh no, honey, we've been trying to get your attention for a long time." And it was just like from then on, I hit the ground.
Yep, it was a switch. Yeah.
Yes, that was my switch. So in the beginning, it was a little bit gradual, and then that switch hit. And from then on, I am a college instructor by trade. So education is important to me. So I just started doing a ton of reading and educating myself and taking classes. And so here I am now with Kayla and educating others.
Yes. Wild ride.
So just so for everyone watching this, however your awakening happens, it's okay. There's so many different ways for it to occur. So you are fine where you are. So now step 2 or stage 2 is the bliss stage where your consciousness, this was probably my favorite. And I so remember this.
Rightfully so, yes.
And I know there are some people who like to put time frames on the stages. I don't really want to do that because I don't want people to judge their awakening process by any time frames that I put on them. So I will say that all those stages can last anywhere from a couple of weeks to years, any of them.
Yes, I agree with that.
I just want to put that out there. I don't want people to judge themselves on this. So now stage 2, do you remember the bliss stage, Kayla?
Oh yes. It was as if your upper chakras just, completely opened up and you had an understanding of how everything and everyone is connected and you were making connection with your guides. And it was a very, very happy phase.
It is. And you're just, it's like just light feeling. You feel happy. You can almost, I can remember going in my backyard. I live in an area that has some trees and I love nature and trees. And I could almost feel these trees vibrating with their own energy. Like I was just so blissful and your upper chakras are open. Now, wouldn't we all love that stage to last forever?
Of course. Realistically, it does not though.
Right. I was going to say, but alas, it does not. Just enjoy it while you're in it. And I will warn, don't try to push that stage off on other people. Because I think when you're going through a spiritual awakening, when you're going through these stages, you want everyone around you to do it with you. And they're just not on the same time frame as you. So just know that your tribe will come. If you try to push those people around you into what you're going through, you're just going to push them away because they don't understand.
Yeah, just focus on what you're experiencing in that moment. I mean, during this stage, it's a time where our consciousness really opens up and expands and just observe and actually live in the moment. It's a beautiful time to be present during this stage.
And also, I would encourage people to really journal during this stage because you're going to be getting downloads. Your dreams are going to be phenomenal. So make sure you're journaling it and writing it down because you will forget. I found one of my old journals from about that time the other day, and it was just beautiful to read it, going through some of the things that happened I had forgotten. So make sure you're writing it down. You're keeping a record of it.
Absolutely. Yes.
So the third stage, woo-woo, the dark night of the soul. And I know when you hear that, the dark night of the soul, people those words just scare people. And it's nothing to be scared of. It's basically when you are clearing out old emotions, you're you're transmuting your energy, healing old wounds. And that's frequently called in the spiritual circles dark night of the soul. Now, we use spiritual terms, but let me tell you, there are absolutely mainstream terms to describe the same thing. When you're talking about that, it's just living in the moment, surrendering to the process. Those are some of the more mainstream terms you hear.
Absolutely. Or I really like to say the dark night of the ego.
Yes. Yes.
Because our ego has cracked open, and now we're purging all the trauma and energy, especially that's in our lower chakras. We're being encouraged to dive deep and go down and heal inner child work. It's a time where our ego goes through a reform, essentially.
You will hear us, Kayla and I, talk a lot about the ego. The ego is a protector. So I enjoy my ego. My ego protected me. It got me to where I am. But whenever you are starting to heal those old wounds, it triggers some emotions. It triggers memories that you have that maybe you've suppressed. Your ego's job is to protect you. So your ego is going to be activated, and your ego is going to say, it's a trigger, and your ego's job is to say, no, look over there. Don't look at the pain. We're here to protect you. Look over there. So the ego does rear its head just because it wants to protect you. Don't be afraid of it. Just kind of walk through the process. Kayla said, talked about the lower chakras. It's so important to work on your chakras during this time. And I take chakra work according to the mood I'm in, is how I take it. Meditation. Sometimes I will take a chakra a week and work on it. Your root chakra is red, talking about being grounded. So I'll really make sure I wear red. I eat some red foods. I'm making sure I'm grounding well. The next week, then I'll move up to the sacral chakra, and the same thing, work on the color foods that go with that, and make sure I'm doing journaling to really purge any emotions in there.
That's a great idea, to really just focus on one chakra a week. It allows you to hold space. And I'm sure many different things will come up on different days throughout the week. And it'll allow you to have time to just really sit with that energy. Breath work is really, really good as well for releasing any kind of traumas from your body and stuck energy that's in your energy centers as well.
Absolutely. Breath work is so, so important. And whenever Kayla and I are talking about this, there are free resources. I mean, yes, can you make an appointment with Kayla or I to help you through some of these things? Absolutely. Can you go to YouTube and search and find free breathwork videos and all? Yes. So make sure that you don't need someone else to heal yourself. Everyone listening is very capable of doing the work on their own. You have
Absolutely.
You can do it on your own.
Yes.
Surrender to this is so important. Surrender through the process. Surrender through the emotions. If you try to fight it and don't feel it and let it go through, you're not going to process it correctly.
And you could prolong this process as well if you do have resistance to releasing these emotions and energy.
Absolutely. Something I do want to mention about the dark night, and I'm going to use Kayla's term of the ego, is that every time, I have, of course, gone through all of these stages. Just the other day, though, I realized I was triggered by something. So I went back to this dark night to process that, to release that trigger. So I want everyone to be very aware that as you clear out, you move through all the stages, something can always come back up. Something you thought you cleared out and maybe you didn't completely clear out. Something that now, because it's like peeling away an onion. Every time you release one emotion, oh, look, there's something else. You release it, and you just keep going down and down and down. So just make sure you don't judge that, and you honor the process. You know that you can go back. You're going to have to go back and release emotions even after you've gone through all the stages.
Absolutely. Yes, I completely agree. And thank you for mentioning that. I do want to say, I know that you had touched base on this at the beginning, but I just want to put another reminder in. Most likely, you're going to experience multiple stages at once. So you could experience bliss and then the next week have a dark night and then kind of go back to bliss and then end up going to one of the other stages as well. It's all moving so fast, especially now since we've had all these portals and we're in the age of Aquarius. We have so much energy behind us, pushing us and really, really nudging us into doing a lot of healing work. So I know that these are just guidelines to go off of, but you could experience multiple stages at once. So give yourself grace.
Absolutely, especially with this, how Kayla mentioned this age of Aquarius is huge. The energetic vibration of the earth itself is changing, and our brains are in tune to the energetic vibration of the earth. So as the vibration of the earth is changing, we are morphing. And then as you have people around you who are morphing and changing and upping the vibration, just by being around them, your vibration is going to be called to morph up. Mm-hmm. And then the opposite is true. If you have someone that is kind of for lack of a better term, a Debbie Downer, who is always, in the lower emotions, they're going to be kind of pulling you down, and you are going to find yourself naturally moving away from those type of people. They are not bad people. They're beautiful people and they still have lovely hearts and we can still hang out with them, but you will find yourself naturally just kind of thinning out your friends because they're not on this stage with you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So that was a third stage. The fourth stage is the void.
Mm-hmm. Or like I like to say, the great rest.
This stage is you can feel very disconnected, and it can just know. And if you don't know what you're going through, if you don't know the name of it, if you don't understand the process, it can feel a little scary because you feel disconnected. You feel like that your guides, your past loved ones, everyone that has been here to support you, you feel disconnected from them. You're still connected to them. They're always there. It's just a feeling. Mm-hmm. But it is a time to get to know yourself, to relax into that feeling. Again, journaling is so important. Sitting with your thoughts, meditation. It's so important to just walk through this space, get to know yourself at a soul level. Because when you come out on the other side of this void, having gotten to know yourself at a soul level, you feel so much more empowered to stand in your own power.
Exactly. Yes. I'm really glad you said this. During this stage, this period, it's a time for us to be able to become self-reliant and become independent, because although it's wonderful that we have our team, we have our guides, we have our past loved ones and our ancestors to rely on, but you're also an open channel to source. And you have the abilities to help others and to tap into your intuition. So this is a perfect time through this stage to become independent and have confidence in yourself and know who you are at a deep soul level and to stand in your power. Yes, absolutely.
Everyone here has the ability to tap into their own intuition. Yes, it's fun to come to a psychic medium and have a legitimate reading, but a lot of times when I'm doing my readings, people will say, I knew that. Like, I'm giving them a lot of confirmation. It's stuff they already knew. I'm just giving them confirmation. Everyone has the ability to tap into their intuition, to tap into source energy. Everyone listening to this, everyone on this earth is a piece of source, God, whatever your name for it is, divine. You have a piece of that in you. And so all you're doing is peeling back the layers, not all, because it's a process. I'm not saying it's easy, but you're peeling back the layers to get to that tapped in source. So then you can honor that connection more. It's more of a pure connection, and you don't have all the layers that society has put on it. Mm-hmm. Void is a great time to just sit in that and honor it. Hear what's coming to you. Make sure you're sitting in meditation during this time and you're writing down. Something that's not part of the stages, but I want to mention is meditation. I get a ton of questions about it. Maybe I'll do a podcast on it one day, but meditation, yes. Is it great if you can sit for 30 minutes in silence? But a lot of people can't. Don't have time for it. Just know that meditation can come in many different forms. Meditation can be driving because you've done it so much. Cleaning. I have wood floors in my house. I get so many downloads when I'm wiping my wood floors on my hands and knees because it's like a repetitive state. My husband, I can just see it on his face. He does woodworking, not by trade, but that's his hobby. And so I can see when he's woodworking, I can just see it on his face that he's in that meditative state.
That's so funny. My husband does the same thing as a hobby. Oh, so funny. Yes, I've noticed just cleaning in general. I always end up getting hits when I'm cleaning.
In the shower, hiking. So just know that honor those downloads, honor that feeling of meditation at all times. Just know that, yes, you don't have to just sit for 20 minutes in silence or 30 minutes. If you can, perfect, great, do it. But not everyone has the ability to. Okay, on to stage 5, grounded. Grounded. Yes. The stage where you feel.
I do too.
Yes.
It's a good stage. It's a stage where you're able to look back at the lessons that you've learned from the previous stages and integrate it into your everyday life and ground it into the energy of who you are as a being and be able to move forward with confidence. It's essentially, you are stepping into a stage of spiritual maturity. Absolutely. And integrating that into your everyday life.
I do want to tell people again, we're talking about being grounded. And when you get to the stage, don't be surprised if one day you wake up and you feel you're back in the void, or if you feel like you're back into the dark night. It's not a linear process. You can jump around. Now, I will say that to help this process, actual grounding is important. Doing a grounding meditation, hiking, just being connected to Mother Earth. Very important in this stage to make sure that you are grounded.
And I will say that the fact that grounding is so important is because now we've gone through all these stages and our energy system is online, is awake, and is much bigger because it has grown and developed through these stages. So grounding will allow us to live a life where we don't see, I guess you would say, kind of your head in the clouds. Yeah. It's easier to process information when you ground on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Your manifestation power increases at this point also because you're so grounded. Now, I want to give a couple of examples of why grounding is important, because I know a lot of people think, oh, I want to be in my upper chakras. I want my crown open. I want my third eye open. But if you don't ground, you don't become stabilized in that energy, and it can give you headaches, and it can make you be kind of lightheaded. It can just make you feel airy-fairy. You think of a tree, how I'm from the South originally, and let me tell you, whenever the strong winds come through, which we get frequently, you'll see those trees staked in the ground when they're new because they don't want to fly up. And that's what happens if you don't have those strong roots in Mother Earth. You just feel like you're flying all over the place. And I still now will do that. Like if I have a day of a lot of readings back to back, I have 10-minute padding between my appointments, and I will take it and I will run outside. I will ground, because if I don't, I can feel myself getting a headache if I don't make sure I'm grounded in appointments.
Absolutely. Yes, I agree with that. I tend to get lightheaded if I notice that I need to ground. Yeah. It's different for everybody. Yes.
Yes. I know Kayla and I were talking the other day, and it also happens sometimes if you're around other very open people. And so, Kayla and I, we were around each other, we were talking. So we didn't really have strong walls up because I trust her. I'm not going to put walls around Kayla. And all of a sudden we kind of look at each other and we could tell that our energies had kind of morphed together, and we were starting to feel kind of
lightheaded, grounded.
Right. Just because our energies were intertwining and it wasn't going. It was cool, but we took a moment to ground.
Absolutely, it's important.
Yes, absolutely. And also, if you're like, I don't know how to ground, pop on YouTube, do a grounding meditation, work on your root chakra, and do some, make sure you're eating red foods, you're spinning your root chakra. There's lots of ways to do it. The last one is your purpose and mission.
Yes. Ooh, such a good stage.
Yes.
Yes.
So once you go through, and a lot of people think, oh, I've gone through these stages of spiritual development. So not everyone's purpose and mission is to be an art healer, to be a psychic medium. I know I have lots of friends who have gone through these stages who are in corporate America, and they are phenomenal leaders because they lead from their heart center. And they're grounded. They're just phenomenal leaders, and they raise the vibration of their entire team that they're leading just because they've gone through these stages and their presence is there.
And being able to hold compassion as well. I feel that's very important. So the fact that their heart is open is huge, especially in corporate America.
Yes, absolutely. I have friends who they're, of course, corporate America is driven on revenue, and rightly so. I mean, my master's work is in business. I certainly understand the bottom line has to, the idea of how owning a company is to make money, and I'm not against that. But when you can do it and your people feel understood, your people feel like you're holding space for them at work, your people feel like it's okay if they're having a day where they need to take some space for themselves to do so, their loyalty is going to be shown to the people.
Absolutely. Yes. And just the morale of your team that you work with, it's going to work so much more efficiently. You're going to be able to hold space for your employees on an emotional level, which I know that if you have a supervisor that isn't connected, you'll notice. Unfortunately, you'll notice if they're not connected to their heart center.
Yes, you will. And, I've been having a lot of nurses come to me lately for readings. It's funny, a lot of people come to me just for psychic medium reading. And yes, we always give psychic medium, but your loved ones know what you're here for. Your loved ones who come through understand the messages you need to hear. So frequently I will find myself giving, because past relatives have mentioned it, advice to the nurses on how to ground, how to protect themselves, what they're going through. So many nurses, I think, because they're so close to people and they're compassionate, are going through a lot of these stages.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure. I mean, they're a form of healer. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. During this stage, essentially, this is a perfect time to build, to focus on what your soul is trying to tell you, or the little nudges that it's giving you, and to follow it. There's going to be times that it might necessarily not make sense, especially if you're looking at it and how our society has set us up. But it's important during this stage to really start listening to your soul and what it has to say, and build and go with that.
Absolutely, it is. Kayla, now I want you to, and we're going to end this a little bit. I want you to talk a little bit about your art healing, what it is. Can you give us like a minute breakdown of it?
Yeah, absolutely. So arc healing, it stands for Advanced Renewal and Opening of Chakras. It's a form of energy healing that it helps align all of your energy centers and open them, and then also connect your mind, body, soul, and heart systems as one. So essentially, it tries to get you into a state of being where it helps promote healing in all areas of your life, so that you can release past trauma, or at least initiate the process of doing that. It's kind of similar into what people would associate Reiki for, but I feel that the energies are a little bit different. I know I had mentioned this in the last podcast, that how I look at it is that arc healing is on AM frequency and Reiki is FM. It's actually kind of rare. I came across it from a woman who had a near-death experience, and she's based out of, I want to say, Portland, Oregon. And when she had this experience, she met with angels, and they said, "We want you to come back and teach this." So essentially, I work with energies of the angelic realm, and that's where I am channeling this energy from. It's very high vibrational, love, heart-centered energy. But it helps people essentially move stuck energy throughout their body and start releasing that. And it initiates the healing process, whether that's for physical symptoms or energetically or both.
Absolutely. And how can people get in contact with you?
Actually, I have a website, and it's under the name of livingfromtheheartcenter.com. I am on social media with Instagram and TikTok, and that is also with the handle of Living from the Heart Center. And you can also email me for livingfromtheheartcenter@gmail.com.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's so important what Kayla was talking about, to clear stuck energies. Whenever energy is made to, we're tapped into source energy, and it's made to go in a very efficient manner through our body. If you have a stuck energy, I'm going to use my throat chakra because you can see it here, and you're going up, instead of just going straight through and getting the power of that, it's going to go around it, and so you lose some of the power of the energy. Now, can you survive with that stuff? Yes, you can, but you want to be more efficient. You want to get into your soul power. I also want to mention something Kayla had talked about earlier, is how we see people moving into these stages a lot earlier. I do something called soul plans, and they're based on the energetic vibration of your name. And it really talks about what your innate talents are, what your goals are, what your challenges are. And everyone comes to this earth with those. No one gets a free ride. And to the soul plan, there's two components. There's a worldly side and a spiritual side. Used to, people wouldn't get into the spiritual side until later in their life. I'm really seeing people moving into the spiritual side and working the worldly and spiritual side simultaneously, because everyone is getting so open so early.
Mm-hmm.
And you can really see that in, I'm sure you can see that in your healing industry, Kayla, how people are
Absolutely
this earlier. My psychic medium reading, soul plan, so we can just really see how people are coming into this so much earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I want to thank everyone for joining me today, me and Kayla, on this second episode of the podcast. And we hope to have many more of just lots of learning. Please, if you have any questions or concern, you can email me at christygodwin111@gmail.com. If you can't remember that, you can go to Christy Godwin Psychic Medium on all the social media platforms, Facebook, TikTok. I have a webpage, and then there's always just a little button you can click on those sites to email me. I want to thank Kayla again for being here. Thank you so much, Kayla.
Thank you.
And again, thank everyone for joining us. Y'all have a wonderful day.